Alrighty, so we all know that collecting data is important. You hear it all the time. You hear it from every single YouTube guru. You hear it from everybody in the world. Collecting data is important, but the question is why? And not only why, but how can we apply that data to our lives so we can actually see more success and be able to make more money, retire our parents sooner, and drive that McLaren 765 LT Spider up in the mountains like a G, okay? So, I have a few things written down I want to cover to share with you how you can become more successful, okay? Make more money. So, obviously, data is important. If we can't agree on that, you can click off this video. That's no problem. But the question is why? Well, I'll give you an example. A lot of people want to get better. Right now, comment down below or raise your hand, okay? Raise your hand or comment down below if you are somebody who wants to progress. Well, it seems like you are a dedicated, hard-driven, hard-working person who is going to be greatly successful in your life, okay? However, here's the problem. Is a lot of us are like, yes, we want to be successful, but how? How, right? It's a great question that we have to ask ourselves. How can we be successful? There's a lot of things. I have a lot of videos talking about this, a lot of mindset stuff. But today we're going to talk specifically about data, right? And so a lot of people go, man, I need to get better at sales so I can start taking sales calls. Pause. I need to get better at sales so I can start taking sales calls. A lot of people say, man, I need to get better at cold calling. I suck at cold calling. Yet they've only done 100 dials, or yet they've only hopped on 3 sales calls. So I'm going to give you an analogy. It's called the football coach analogy. If you wanted to get better at football, or heck, for this conversation, anything in the world, let's say any sport, okay? Let me ask you this, how would you get better? How? Well, I'd imagine you would probably say, well, I'd have to go play. Correct, yes, exactly. Okay, cool, so that's step number 1. Now, if we want to progress from there, how do we get even better? Well, I mean, shit, maybe get a coach, right? Maybe get somebody to tell us what to do. Okay, cool. Let me ask you a question. Could somebody tell you what to do if they've never seen you play? No. What does that mean? It means that there's 2 things, 2 inputs we have to do in order to generate the feedback loop to get better, to progress, which is number 1, do the thing, and number 2, collect the data to have somebody review it. So that means number 1, taking a bunch of sales calls so we can have statistical significance, right? In science, if there's not 100 plots of data, that is counted as insignificant. Right? And so therefore the data is insignificant. It doesn't even count. You can't even use it in science because there's not statistical significance. You need 100 sets of data, right? In cold calling and outreach, I say it's way more. All right, let's say 1,000. So you do 1,000 dials. You collect the data, right? You track it, you record it, and then you review it. Right? Like this whole process of being able to improve, you need to be able to know what to improve on. And if you don't do it, 1, you don't know what to improve on. 2, if you don't collect the data, you don't know what to improve on. Because now you're making emotional decisions, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm bad at cold calling." It's like, okay, well, why? And then I look at their numbers, I look at the data, and they've only done 5 cold calls. It's like, well, no shit, you suck. You just haven't put in the reps. Other people have done 10,000 cold calls. They're like, man, I suck at cold calling. I'm just bad at it. I go look at their data, they've had 0 pickups. Well, no shit, you suck. Nobody's picking up. Other people do 100 dials, right? They go, man, I suck at cold calling. I look, 100 dials, 30 pickups, and then after people pick up, he has 0 people that pass through. Well, dude, it's not necessarily that you suck at cold calling. You just suck at getting people to pass through. Let's work on your tonality and your opener. And so we need the data so we can make the logical decisions. And then we need the data so we can review and see what we need to work on. Right? And so we can see it exactly based on the data. So we can make rational, not irrational decisions. We can see what needs to improve. The same way that if you want to improve, you'd have to, in football, you'd have to go play. And you'd have to get your coach to watch you play. And then ask your coach for feedback. So let's bring this into business. You'd have to do the thing, okay? And if your coach watches you play for 2 minutes, that's not enough. He needs to watch you play a whole game, or heck, maybe even multiple games. So we need to make sure we do enough so that the data is relevant. Once we have enough of the data that's relevant, we then go and we identify what's the problem, right? Man, well, I just keep throwing interceptions. Or man, I keep running into gatekeepers. Okay, well, let's look at the data. Right? And let's find out where is the constraint? What constraint do we have to alleviate? And then what we do is we pinpoint the constraint. We then research the constraint. How can we alleviate and fix this thing? We then go and research it, like I said. We then fix it, and then we go and do it again. And we're in this constant feedback loop of doing, collecting data, reviewing, analyzing, fixing, and doing. And so we're in this constant feedback loop where it doesn't ever end, right? Let me make that very clear. It doesn't ever end. You don't ever stop collecting data. The same way that with your coach, you don't ever stop asking for feedback because you want to continually get better. But those 2 variables have to be in play for you in order for you to collect data, in order for you to improve and progress and move the needle forward in your business. Alrighty, and so this is what a lot of people miss out on. A lot of people, right? A lot of people that I consult, and a lot of other people I see online and asking me questions in my Discord, which you're already in there. Join it; it's free. I host free Q&A calls every Saturday. You can ask me any question you want. I don't sell anything. I already make enough money as it is, and so right, it's like, well, shoot. Like, this is like, man, like, we just got to do the work, right? And we got to collect the data. It's like, well, yeah, it's like, that's exactly right. And a lot of people overcomplicate this formula, right? They try and overcomplicate and add a bunch of variables in it. But business in and of itself is very simple, right? It's simple, not easy. People like to overcomplicate what it is that they do, so they feel like they're doing more than they're actually doing, except they're not doing the thing they know they need to do. It's like dancing around the pole. You do everything except for the thing you know you need to do. And the thing you know you need to do is the thing that moves the needle forward. So focus on the thing that matters, collect the data, right? Because without the data, everything else is irrelevant. Because if we don't have data, how do we know what decisions to make? Well, we don't, because our brain is constantly changing. Our brain is emotional, and our brain is irrational. Right? Our brain likes to jump to conclusions. And so if we don't collect the data, we rely on our brain. Our brain is always changing. Logic and data isn't. So we need to rely on the thing that's going to be held consistent throughout time and time and time and time again. So we can make logical, data-backed decisions to actually progress us forward based on the real problem at hand, not the made-up problem you think is in your head. So a lot of times the problem you think is happening is a lot different than the real problem. We only know that if we do the input, okay, and if we collect the data to review what's actually going wrong. So, hope this little video helps you out on why we need to collect data, how we need to collect data, and then what to do about the data we collect so we can improve and progress faster in life and in business and a lot of other things. Other than that, watch more videos. I got some more crazy content coming soon. See you on the next one. Peace!